Every year, millions of people make life-changing decisions on the same arbitrary day. They quit jobs, start diets, they promise themselves this year is going to be different. That day has no extraordinary physical properties. It doesn't move time any faster. It doesn't reset anything. So why January 1st? January 1st isn't biologically special. It isn't astronomically unique. Nothing about the Earth's orbit, the length of day, or your brain chemistry changes that morning. And yet, human behavior does change. Search activity spikes, gym check-ins increase, goal-setting apps see their highest usage of the entire year. So something measurable is happening, even though nothing physical is changing. Humans don't experience time the way that clocks do. We don't live in a smooth, continuous stream of seconds. We live in chunks. Years, months, weeks. Before, after. January 1st isn't just a date, it's a container. We pour everything we don't like about ourselves into the year before it, and everything we hope to be into the year after. Which is strange, because nothing is actually contained. December 31st doesn't hold your bad habits. January 1st doesn't hold your good ones. But psychologically, those containers feel real. And once something is contained, it feels manageable. What's interesting is that this doesn't actually have anything to do with January. This shows up on birthdays, on Mondays, on the start of new semesters. Which means the brain isn't responding to January 1st specifically, it's responding to the idea of a boundary. A moment that separates and says, that was then, and this is something else. That's why people don't just say, I'll change. They say, I'll change next year. Not because the year will help them, but because the idea of the boundary helps them think. If you told someone, I'll start changing on January 1st, it sounds reasonable. If you told someone, I'll start changing on Wednesday at 3:47 p.m., it sounds unhinged. Even though, functionally, those moments are identical. In 2014, behavioral scientist Katie Milkman and her colleagues at the Wharton School studied what they call the fresh start effect. Instead of asking people how they felt, they looked at what people did. Google searches, gym attendance records, enrollment data for goal tracking programs. Across datasets, the pattern was consistent. Immediately after temporal landmarks, moments that psychologically feel like new beginnings, especially January 1st, people were significantly more likely to start goal-directed behaviors. And here's what's strange about the data. It didn't just track if they exercised more, it tracked when motivation peaked and when it inevitably collapsed. After your birthday, gym attendance spikes. But over the next 12 months, it steadily declines until it reaches its absolute lowest point in the month before your next birthday. Which means that every year you're least motivated right before you're supposed to be the most motivated. The landmark only works when you reach it, not when you're approaching it. This drop-off isn't anecdotal. In 2019, the fitness app Strava analyzed 800 million logged workouts. They were looking for patterns in when people stop showing up, and they found something specific. Not most people quit eventually, and not motivation fades over time. They found an exact moment. The second Friday in January. That's when the data shows the New Year's surge visibly collapses. They even gave it a name, National Quitters Day. The date moves slightly each year, but the pattern doesn't. 10 days in, and the effect is already dying. And this is where the calendar starts doing something strange. Humans invented the calendar to measure time, but we also use them to manage guilt, regret, identity. January 1st isn't a reset button. It's kind of an emotional permission slip, a socially acceptable moment to believe it's okay for me to start over now. And when that permission expires, it's not the calendar taking the blame. What's interesting is how people interpret that collapse. Research in behavioral psychology shows that when goals fail, people overwhelmingly attribute the failure to internal traits. Lack of discipline, lack of motivation, lack of willpower, even when the external conditions never changed. Same schedule, same environment, same constraints. The only thing that disappeared was a psychological boost provided by the temporal landmark. January 1st isn't deceptive, it's predictable. It reliably increases the motivation to begin, and it reliably fails to change the structures that allow it to continue. The date works exactly as behavioral science would expect it to. January 1st feels powerful because it allows us to seal the past in a container, a year we can close, label, put on a shelf. Imagine it like this. You're standing in front of two rooms. Behind you is the room labeled 2025. Everything you didn't do is in there. The workouts you skipped, the projects you abandoned, all of it contained. You close the door, walk into the room labeled 2026. It's empty, clean, waiting. But the real change doesn't happen in containers, it happens across them. It happens on February 19th, March 7th, October 3rd, on days that don't feel like beginnings, when the door no longer matters, and the behavior does. That's why January 1st feels special, and why eventually it stops mattering.